Hey friends, how are you guys doing today? I hope you're doing so well. And today I am doing a work with me video. So welcome here. I am a full-time reseller on Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, and I also make tons and tons of YouTube videos. So I am going to be taking pictures of items here today, and we're trying out something new because I like to film work with me so much, but I'm such a talker that I cannot both work and talk to you guys at the same time. And so today I am going to be coming to you post of taking pictures. I am going to be giving you a little overview while I am also working. So this is your invitation. If you have a job to do, you have something to do for reselling or something else that you are kind of dreading. I always dread doing basically everything for work. So you're not alone, but this is the great time to put my video on and you can watch me doing some work. Hopefully it inspires you to get some stuff done and we'll work together while I also talk about some of the things that kind of go hand in hand with being a reseller. And so today's topics are mostly revolving around some of the harder things about reselling, the things that are pretty scary about reselling. So I have quite a few things to chat with you guys about today. I love sharing my life and being extremely real, and I think that that is the most helpful thing to hear from somebody who also is in the same spot as you. So reselling can be scary, but it also has a lot of benefits. And so we're going to talk about some of the things that are going on in the reselling community right now and just like in the atmosphere as somebody who thrifts and resells for a living. And then we're also going to talk about some things that can help combat the things that are kind of hard to manage sometimes and the things that are working against us as a reselling community. So if you like it, hit that thumbs up button and also hit subscribe if you're not already subscribed. But also, we're coming to you from my basement. This is my very harried workstation. I take pictures for my listings right on that wall before I white out backgrounds for my main picture. And you can see my other room in the doorway is actually pretty much my storage area. And so I've got some hauls that I need to go through and figure out and also photograph over there. So that's the stuff you see in the background. And also GU is helping me today. She is on the side of the camera and she is my exchange student from Korea. She lives with us. We love her to death. But she'll be popping in and out of the frame. So she's there with me. She decided to help me because she's on spring break. So we are so thankful for her. And I'm so glad that she was able to help me this day because I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed. So let's get into some of the things that are going on that I want to talk about with you guys. And I want to start off too by saying that this isn't a warning to stop reselling at all. It's just being honest about the hard parts about the job. And just because a job has some hard parts doesn't mean the job's not worth doing. And so I definitely want to make sure you don't read it into this as like, okay, you need to quit right now. Like stop reselling. It's not worth it. That's not what I'm saying. But I do want to actually take, like an honest look at what's going on and also give you some advice too if you are kind of teetering on the fence of should I quit or not. So there's you. Hello. Love her. But so let's jump in and let's start talking especially too about thrift store prices increasing. This has been so horrible lately. I don't even it just makes me like cringe just thinking about it. So like I know I've always been a thrifter. So growing up, I would remember things were usually like one price. All of the shirts at my area in Indiana at least were, all like this price and all pants were this price. And then, they switched to pricing individually. And then somewhere along the way, I just feel like when they were pricing individually, they decided to, actually have somebody start checking on like brands or something. There's something that happened along the way, and I don't know when or if it's across the country. I'm sure it is. It might be across the world. I just feel like people are marking things up so high nowadays, and it's been really hard on the reselling community. It's been hard even on just people that need to thrift to, buy clothing for their families. I used to be in that situation. I totally get it. And I know that there's so much to go around. And also a lot of thrift stores get all of their items for free. I'm not talking about like consignment stores, but most thrift stores only take donations. And so it's just become, I just feel like a huge money grab, at least from the thrift stores side. I think they think that if other people are allowed to come in and take items and resell them for a profit, they should be too. And I just feel like the purpose of a thrift store, I just feel like it's changing. And it's been kind of frustrating because these places are supposed to be, they take donations. They're supposed to be doing good with the money. And I just feel like they're just getting maybe a little money hungry, which I mean, everybody has to make money. So who am I to judge? But I know it's just, it's been really frustrating. Things that used to be maybe $3 to $5 are now sometimes marked to like $20 at a thrift store. I went to Second Avenue the other day and I saw a J. Jill piece. There was a piece that was not new with tags and they marked it at like $3, but there was a piece that was new with tags and they marked that dress at $60. 60. I'm just like, if you are in a thrift store, what are you wanting to spend on your items? Like, who is going in there and saying, yes, I want to spend $60 on this new dress that was somebody else's? And then, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like pricing has gotten crazy, which has made it a little bit harder for people to resell. I do know that this is just more so like on, chains. So like, Goodwill, Salvation Army, all those things. And the thing about the prices increasing in store is that you also are seeing more things go to the bins, which is great because a lot of people do shop at the Goodwill outlet and find a lot of inventory that way. The hard thing about Goodwill outlet, though, is that there are not tons of them. So some states have them and some of them are going to be close by where you live, but there are some states where you either have one Goodwill outlet or none. And so for those people, I don't know how they're doing it. And so if you're one of those people that does not live near a Goodwill outlet and are really relying on thrift stores, I would love to hear your input down below because I think it's been really hard lately for people to be able to actually make a lot of profit reselling unless they're buying things online or at the bins or something like that. But even the bins pricing I have heard is going up. So it's very interesting. And then along with the thrift store prices increasing, I think what's been hard too on the reselling community is that Lululemon and like Patagonia and a lot of stores like that, and even Goodwill itself, they're all starting these programs. So like Lululemon and Patagonia, I'm thinking of in particular, they're starting these programs where they will buy back pieces from previous seasons that you have purchased from them. So Lululemon has Lululemon Like New, which is still super pricey, but they're buying back pieces that you don't want anymore. So like maybe for like $5 or $10. So not very much at all, kind of like a Plato's Closet level of paying for your things, and then they're reselling them for like their sales prices. So like at Lululemon, a pair of leggings they'll probably give you $5 or $10 for, and then they will relist them on their like new site and charge $60 for them. So it's been harder and harder to find some of these nicer pieces if more and more of these places like Lululemon, like Patagonia, are willing to buy back their pieces. Those pieces are no longer going to be ending up in Plato's Closets. They're not going to be ending up in as many Goodwills. And then the other hard part about that is I included Goodwill in this list too, because Goodwill has been doing their Shop Goodwill, so it's their online site now for a while, and not every store contributes to it, which thank God they don't, but they must somehow in processing, in intake, they have somebody who knows something going through those pieces and pulling out things that they think should resell for good money, and then they are pulling them aside to auction off online. And a lot of those auctions actually don't start super cheap. Like sometimes they start at a reasonable price, but a lot of times the things that they're auctioning off online are, I don't even know who they're catered towards because they're too expensive for resellers, but also kind of like not amazing deals any more so than doing something like on eBay or Poshmark for people that are buying for themselves. So it's a very strange kind of mix, but I have looked on Shop Goodwill many times trying to find things that I can flip, and it's almost impossible because they also charge an arm and a leg for shipping fees and handling. So you could buy something on there and bid and finally, get it for reselling for maybe $20, but then by the time you have to pay shipping and handling of like $15, then you're paying $35 for an item, and then you're gonna have fees taken out when you sell it again. And it's just like a lot of times it's not worth it unless you find something that flies under the radar. So but that's another thing with Goodwills. You're going to find less and less great things at the Goodwills if they're selling all of these things, if they're going through every piece and picking out only the good things to resell online and then putting only the things that they don't think are worth reselling online in the store. Then the people that are coming to the store to resell things online are not going to find very many things unless the person sorting did a terrible job. So it's very interesting. And I think I've just been facing a lot of kind of frustration just with the whole situation because I know there's so much waste. There's so much clothing waste, and it's one of the worst things for our planet. There's so much out there, and people are making it more and more expensive to keep things out of the landfill, which I just think is bizarre and so backwards. It's so frustrating to me. So not even just like from a reselling perspective, but just from a ecological perspective, it just makes no sense to be charging so much for items that are literally destined for a landfill in the hopes that you might be able to make a few more dollars. It just, yeah, anyways, that's a little bit of a tangent. We could talk more and more about that, I am sure. But some of those things, it's kind of like a guessing game of how much people are going to be charging for things and what their basis is for charging for them. So that makes it a little bit more difficult to, plan out what you want to spend on your inventory each month. So that's something that reselling is facing right now. And I just know that prices have been going up everywhere, not just for clothing, but just across the board because the economy is a little bit crazy, at least here in the US. I know I have a lot of viewers from Canada and a couple other countries as well. So I would love to hear how your guys' economies are doing right now as well. I'm sure it's probably worldwide that it's just been a turbulent time, especially, with, the pandemic. And so things are a little bit crazy, which makes it a little scary to try to be doing a, solo business on your own. A little bit, a little frightening at times. And I think too, maybe it's just because it's April and I finished my taxes not too long ago. One of the biggest hindrances I feel like in the reselling community is the freaking thought of taxes is terrifying. Taxes are you just never know. Well, maybe you do know how to prepare for them every year. Maybe you're not like me and maybe that doesn't scare you. But man, the more money you make, the more you lose, it feels like sometimes. So it can be really, scary when it comes to tax season, especially if you're not paying quarterly and you're paying annually. Or you just don't have a big lump sum at the end of the year that you can just pay off to the government if you need to. It can be scary for people. And I'm not saying that's necessarily my situation, but I know that taxes, if you need to pay taxes, that's really scary if you're not getting a tax return. So that's always terrifying when you own your own business and you're paying not only, the normal taxes, but also small business taxes. It can be a lot, and it can feel like you're being penalized for trying to start something, which is really frustrating at times. But I feel like taxes is something I'm really going to try to jump into this year and learn more about so that I don't have that kind of fear going into tax season. But almost every year I am always just like terrified. I'm like, okay, I don't know how much I'm going to owe this year. I don't know if I saved enough, but hopefully I did. So that's kind of another thing. But I know that all those things are kind of scary. I feel like I don't want this to be a video where you're like, oh my gosh, now I feel depressed. I want to give you some ideas too and things that can maybe help you out when you're facing these kind of fears and these kind of insecurities. And I know that it can be scary, but I think one of the good things to remember too is that there's always ups and downs, that you should try to just have some peace and ride it out when it gets scary. Trust that all the work that you've put in, all the pieces that you have spent your time finding and photographing and listing, those will sell eventually, even if it's not right now. Just have some peace of mind and try to not worry when the stress comes along, and just try to keep a level head. And another thing too is when you get scared about maybe reselling in your future, like have some other options. Reinvest in yourself. Get a new certificate, go back to school, try to figure out a way that you can have a backup plan. If something happens, make sure that you are ready and you can get a new job pretty easily if it comes to that. Like if you know that it's okay and if something happens, you have a backup plan. That I think will help so much. So I think having that plan in place, even if you don't have to use it, is super helpful and helps get rid of all of that fear that you could be having. And then another way when things get scary and you feel like you're not selling enough, or you feel like the economy is crazy, but you aren't making as many sales as you used to, I think another thing to think about too is maybe having a platform as a way to increase your sales. And I know I have this YouTube and I love making YouTube videos. I think if you're making 3 videos a week and doing things like I am, like it's not going to give you ample time to list, but having some sort of social media presence, whether that's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, something like that, is just another way to basically just advertise your store. So even if you're not super tech savvy, I think an Instagram is a great place to start. I started on YouTube. I wouldn't suggest doing that. I would say build up a following on Instagram first. But it's pretty intuitive. It's very similar to Facebook. If you're a little older and you don't feel like you can do it, I feel like you can. Starting off just by taking pictures of things you've found and listing them and, making some content just in the way of pictures, I think you can start there, and that can increase your advertising pretty well, and people will start to notice you. And I think that's just another way that you can help increase your numbers. I think having a safety net, having a backup plan trying to increase your numbers just by advertising in an easy, free way, social media. And then also just trying to, have peace and ride out the storms and plan accordingly. I think those are all great ways to kind of fight the fearful days when it comes to reselling. And I know there is a lot of scary things going on, and just some trends I'm seeing across the country are not very pleasant. And if that's affecting you too, please let me know in the comments. Reselling is a great way to make a living. I enjoy what I do. I feel confident about what I do. I like it, and I don't dread going into the office, so I'll take it. But thank you guys so much for watching today. If you guys liked this new style of video, then please let me know in the comments. If you like a more chatty video, while you also can see me doing some work, please let me know. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And until the next video, bye.